this is Pops, and I had some love for the Bookie, but I have to tell you, I'm not quite sure where I stand now because episodes 3 and 4 dropped the same day. They're actually dropping 2 episodes at a time, and I'm left feeling like episodes 3 and 4 were actually one episode, and they just told them they had to extend the season or make it longer. So it's like one episode or one big story that's padded over 2 episodes because it doesn't really even address things that happened in episode 1 and 2. Because, all right, so Sebastian Maniscalco on the right, he's a bookie, California bookie, running sports book, all the trials and tribulations of chaos with he and his friend Ray. He's the muscle. And in the first 2 episodes, there's like, they do a thing where they're kind of getting mugged, and Danny, Sebastian's character, fires a gun, thinks he killed somebody, there's no dead body. And then there's like a guy over the watch being a mugging, and it turns into like a thing where he tussles with Ray, and anyway, he stabs himself. So that's like teased even in the recap, and none of that is relevant to this episode. It doesn't come up like at all. It's chaos of the bookie and all of that, and then they end up with like this guy they call the whale. And the first episode is about, how tight is your sphincter? Like that's the trust your sphincter. It's like, and it's because do they want to take on such a big whale? Do they want to take on such a massive risk of, in this case, I think it was $250,000 that they would be taking, but it was like $1 million bet kind of thing. And then the guy, he's an Asian guy, kind of sketchy, and you don't quite know exactly what to expect. And then, of course, episode 4 is they've doubled down on that bet because the guy is taking like a crazy risk. And, of course, that's all drawn out into this episode 4. So, but that's the whole story. Then the backstory with his sister is sort of like this new thing about mushrooms and Jorge Garcia's character. Because let's face it, Hurley from Lost he steals every scene. It's just, I don't know that I care anymore. Like it's like we took everything we did and built up, and then we created 2 new subplots, and they don't really tie back. The humor is not as good as the first 2 episodes. I didn't laugh as much. There's little things that are supposed to be funnier than I think they were for me. Maybe they work for you guys. I'd love to hear from you about what works, what doesn't work. It's the silliness of the scenarios are not really as absurd. This felt more tedious. So one of the segments is because Ray, when he was in the NFL, he didn't wear a condom. He's got a whole bunch of kids. So it's him taking these massive fat, bundles of cash to each baby mama. Here, go meet Ray Jr. And Ray Jr.'s like little, doesn't know who he is. Second Ray Jr. gets a video game system, whatever. It's played for a laugh. It actually felt more tedious. And what was weird is they have like this weird disdain towards Danny, but we don't really know why they don't like Danny. It's just we're assuming. I feel like there's a scene that got cut or something's been moved to episodes 5 or 6. I guess next time they're releasing 2 episodes again. So it's very, very strange. Isn't that a weird tactic? Because I think the Netflix tactic of release a whole season, to me, doesn't play any well. There's too many streaming services. There's too much YouTube content. There's too much whatever. I think the only way if you have a really good show, you want to be weekly so that you stay in the zeitgeist longer to perpetuate getting your word out. Like if One Piece had been weekly, it would have been something talked about for 2 months, plus the overflow and the rewatch and all that. So you're talking about 3-4 months. Now One Piece feels like a million years ago, even though it was easily among the best shows of the year. A show like this has, let's say, 6, 8, 10. I didn't even look it up how many episodes there are. But now we're going to do 2 at a time. So we're even shortening the window of something you've already done the work for. So why? Is it because you're trying to get it done before the end of the year or before Christmas, maybe? But it seems like you would want maybe have some carryover into the holiday break so people could watch a new episode, maybe double up on a finale week or something like that, maybe have an extended thing or something like that. I don't know. It just seems like every time these business model things happen, I always think to myself, what was the pros and cons of doing this? And like I said, with the story, the first couple seemed like they were real punchy and they were kind of fun, and it become like silly. Like the idea of just, getting away with murder and all the shenanigans and all that kind of stuff was kind of fun. And this one, it just felt more tedious and strained. Like there's supposed to be this thing here where they're in the cash box, they're getting like safety deposit box, and there's like this weird thing about Gregory, and it's like it's all this. He's skeezy, he's afraido, he's a whatever, all this weird stuff. And I'm like, it really wasn't as sort of silly as the first two episodes. Like it didn't. It felt more forced. And I feel like this is like the conversational stuff that actually does happen and is real, but isn't really funny or amusing. It shouldn't make the final cut. So, not quite sure, but I won't be surprised if I hear that this was an extension of one episode. So I have to kind of take what I think was a pretty strong recommend, or at least recommend before. And now I'm kind of like in a wait and see. I don't know. Yeah, it's not bad, but it's not as funny. So I've kind of I take it down a notch. So that's my take on it. I know some of you are watching it, so let me know what you guys think about episodes 3 and 4. I appreciate you guys so much for watching. I am Pops.
Yeah.